Hi guys, and welcome back to the restoration. This is the final episode. It's done. Now when I say done, anybody that has one of these projects, you know you can always tweak it here, tweak it there, but it's done, guys. And I picked it up in 2010, December, and now it's December of 2020. So 10 years later, it's complete. In all fairness, it took me about 6 years to complete and then a couple of hours. And that couple hours took me a couple years because I just let it sit literally and not touched it for a few years. But she's ready now. Now in my mind, I thought it was going to take me 1 year. So I said 2. And I said, okay, let me add 1 more. So I thought 3 years, but it took me about 6 years. Now in my defense, I just retired in October from being an airline pilot. And that took me away from home half the time. And so I had 2 young boys too that I had to spend time with them. So this tractor restoration was not my top priority. And so now they're older and now I'm retired and now I'm starting to hopefully get my projects that I've been wanting to do for years, start to get those on the front burner. And if you want to see how this tractor turned out, stick around. But first, I have to tell you, I was just in the store and I saw this alligator stealing. Well, I guess you could call him a crocodile.
Used to love animal jokes.
Two and a half years ago, I parked this tractor here, covered it up, and it's been there ever since. Hasn't been even touched. When I parked it, there's a few things that needed to be sorted out on it. And quite frankly, I just didn't know how to do it. Okay, just pulling it out for the first time. The only thing I see that's bad right now is the gas cap is kind of turned a little dark. It used to be clear in here. And this tire is flat. And I'm going to get that pumped up. Get this thing, see if we can get her running again. In 2017, I was in a desperate race to get this finished to take to a family reunion. And the steering wheel here, I wanted to buy a new one, but they didn't have any. So I decided to restore this one. And basically I took it and where all the cracks were, I sealed it up with JB Weld, got some plastic filler, filled that in, sanded it real smooth, and used a paint that's for plastic and painted it. And it turned out pretty well. Also, I had to do the speed selector knob and the shifter knob as well. And I just took those and put them on the lathe and polished those up. And they polished up beautifully. And the reason I didn't do any video on this is I just was trying to get this done in time, and the video, and of course, takes so much time, so I just took stills. Now, I couldn't find a new steering wheel, and of course, with that, I couldn't find a steering wheel cap, so I decided to make one. I took that HDPE, the milk jug plastic, turned it on the lathe. Now, a new battery for this is not available also in the original size. So I decided to make a little bracket and a thing that will hold down a new battery, but will be held in place with the old battery hold down and secure the battery. Now, once it was all fabricated and welded, I got it all prepped and I used the Flex Seal, the black Flex Seal, and I said it's a rubberized coating. And so I sprayed it and it covered it really well. And now it can be taken out without tools. And here's my youngest son on there and taking her out for a test drive. And we're just trying to do a shakedown before we take it to the family reunion. And right now, I don't know what's causing it to run pretty poorly. It wasn't until later that I figured this out, but I'm thinking it's a fuel issue Turns out it was not a fuel issue. To kind of keep this in perspective, he now has a driver's license. And this is my oldest son there. And to keep it in perspective, he's now a freshman in college. Now I'm thinking that since I didn't put a lot of gas in it, that's why it's not running correctly. And now it's my turn. I just love how shiny I was able to get that hood. And also, I made up a center cap there. And that's a picture of my father. And that's who the build is dedicated to. Now I'm here at my family reunion. And I have 9 brothers and sisters. Yes, I'm number 3 out of 10 children in a family. And so we have a pretty big family reunion. And I think only 2 know that that this is there. And I'm bringing it out as a surprise to everyone. And it was a huge success. Now this trailer there is the trailer that I used to actually bring it there, and then I have a little hitch on my trailer, and now I'm going to use this to take the little ones on a hayride. Well, minus the hay. That's my sister. She just recognized it because we grew up with this tractor, and we have so many hours on that tractor that now they know, and everybody starts coming out. I couldn't believe how many of my young nieces and nephews wanted to get on there, but there's about 20 on there right now. Now the tractor was such a hit at the family reunion that I planned on taking it and the trailer on all the rest of the family reunions. However, because of the locations of the last couple, it just didn't lend itself for me to take it there. Now, with a little extra time from the pandemic, I was able to go out here and try to get her going again. Well, she seems to have cold feet, but got spark compression timing and a little bit of fuel, so it should fire. Now remember, I was having trouble with this thing and how it ran, and I thought it's a fuel issue, and I see right now that it's extremely rich, and so I'm still thinking fuel. Now guys, I'm starting to get the hint what might be the problem. Okay, that old battery was bad, so I've got that replaced. And a couple things that need to be addressed is got some chipped paint a couple places. This foam thing that I stuck on there is not sticking, just to keep it from banging metal to metal. You can see some of it stuck up here. So then there's a spot in here that looks like it rubbed and got a little rust on it, just a little surface rust. And same thing on this side. But those are cosmetic, and I think I need to replace one or two of these bolts down here, change those to stainless steel. But here's a big thing. It's not running right, and I didn't know how to adjust the carburetor, but that's going to be on a big thing today to do, is adjust the carburetor. Things to do. Get this adjusted right. There's a exhaust leak right there, and I'm going to try a couple things to fix that. And then once that gets fixed, right now the clutch needs to be adjusted too, because when I push that in I grind the gears. So I need to adjust the clutch and brake, adjust the carburetor, and she should be good. I have the cap off of it right now too, but I got a cap for that. And kind of just clean it up. It's been sitting for close to 3 years, but time to get this thing finished. Well, online I saw that the upper screw was supposed to be, let's see, 2.5, and this one down here 2. But when I look in my manual, it says this one is 2 and this one is 1.25. And it was running real rich, and hopefully we can get this thing dialed in. But I'm putting it at 1.25 and 2 to start off with, and let's see how she runs. Also, it looked like that thing puckered again, so I got some JB Weld really high temperature stuff I might have to stuff down that hole to stop the exhaust leak. So I'm quickly finding out that this thing still is running crazy rich. And this is an aftermarket carburetor. And I don't know this at the time, but the settings on this aftermarket carburetor are not what my book says. So I have to play with that to get it to where it's not just spitting out fuel. You can see just fuel just dumping in there from the settings, and it's just too much. Now I know that the fuel here and the carb is an issue. However, in the back of my mind, I'm still thinking there's something else going on here too. And I'm mulling it over in my brain, and I'll figure it out. And just to tell you the difference between the aftermarket carburetor and the real one, this thing only needed like 1/4 of a turn in order to run correctly. More than that, it was too rich. Now there's no way that this thing should be running or not running the way it's doing. And I'm sitting here watching the fuel go in there. Something's not right. Okay, I'm just trying to figure out all kinds of stuff. And one of the things I noticed on here is up here at the coil, it looks like the negative side goes to the points, and it looks like the condenser. I've got that with the positive side on mine, so I'm going to flip-flop that and see if that helps. So right here, I'm going to switch that to that side and that stuff onto that side and see what happens. All right. Switched around those wires. Let's see if that helps at all. Carburetor's still messed up, but let's see what happens. Now, I don't know this at the time, but just looking at it, I see so much fuel in there. It is absolutely flooded. Once I take a look at it like I am, it is so flooded I had to pull the spark plug out, kind of air it out, and then I could get it going. Dudes, I think that was half of my problem was the electrical, because now she runs. purring like a kitten. I am so stoked. And now the clutch, when I put it in, the gears grind. So I'm trying to adjust the belt stopper, this belt guide thing. Now I'm just adjusting this according to the service manual. I have a parts manual and a service manual. So what I've seen guys online say is that this thing is supposed to stop that belt when I push the clutch in. So I tried to adjust this guide to be real close, and when the pedal is depressed like this, it'll come up and touch that belt and stop it. Also, this was totally off. This needed to have 7/8 of an inch there. I had it all the way tight. So that was part of it. And so one by one, going through and doing some adjusting. Okay, right now what I've done is measured from here to here. Like the book said, put that at about 9 1/4 inches. This thing is supposed to be off of here. The belt is supposed to be off of the belt guard by about 3/16 of an inch. I got everything adjusted in here, and now I just got to adjust the brake. I fixed that brake band clamp, and now I'm going to adjust the brake. This thing is running so well. It was just the coil was hooked up backwards and the carb a little rich. But I was still having trouble with the brake clutch assembly. So I contacted Zippo Varga, who is the absolute guru of Allis Chalmers and simplicity, and he told me how to adjust it. Thank you, Zippo. And here she is, guys. Still have a couple little things to do, but I think it turned out really well. What I thought was going to be a 1-year project took me 10 times as long. It's 10 years, guys. Now, it really is difficult to grasp how far this thing has come. If you look at the first pictures of it, I mean, honestly, it was literally going to the scrap yard the Friday, before I came there. It was, if I would have waited until that Friday, it was going to the scrap yard. And I'm just grateful that I was able to get this and to restore it, because this was my practicing for wanting to restore a car. And I've learned so much on this that I'm willing to tackle a car now. So this is it, boys and girls. This is the final. And this is about 99.99% complete. There's a couple of things that I need to just kind of adjust and take care of, and I'll show those to you. Okay, let's start off back here. I'll put this little ball on here, and that, for the trailer that I trailer it to places, I can use that ball to use that trailer, like for hay rides. Like I said, a couple things. There's a little surface rust on some bolts back here and these little things, and I need to redo that with a little clear coat. And speaking of paint, there's just little touches up of paint that I need to do, like on this steering wheel cap. I need to touch that up where it's chipped off. And there's a couple little spots, like right here, that have chipped, and I just need to touch that up. Now, the biggest thing that I need to adjust, that I'm not quite sure how to do, is this throttle. That's full throw. So I can't get it all the way up to there. So the way that's geared or levered in there is wrong for this tractor. Right away you can see that in here this rubs. So right now I just got a little piece of felt on that, and so once I figure out how to bend that sheet metal so it doesn't rub here, and also it rubs here on the back side of that, so I just need to be able to bend this, get it contoured to where it doesn't rub. Also on the latches here, I've got little pieces of rubber on here. But what I plan to do on that is just take a little plastic dip and just dip the end of it in there so that it doesn't hit, so it doesn't scratch, and I'll show you where. And that's just so the latch part where it comes down, it doesn't scratch up the paint like it did. So once I get that plastic dip, I'll touch that up as well. The exhaust leak here, I was going to put some high temperature epoxy stuff in there, but I'm just gonna try to figure out how to get that to clamp up on there correctly, so I need to get that done as well. Okay, one of the things that I did take care of is I made this battery hold down for a specific battery, and when that one went bad, I put this one in there. It was a little too tall, but good thing is on this part here on the bracket that I made is adjustable. So I just adjusted it up, and now it's a nice tight fit in there. But you can see the battery cables are pretty much, look a little too long. I don't know what I'll do with that, but right now that's just an adjustment thing that I need to take care of that as well. Also, here's another rub spot that I have to bend the sheet metal, make it fit so it doesn't rub there. And right now what I've done is just put this felt in there so that it doesn't rub the paint anymore. One other thing, there's a slight oil leak, just ever so slight on that. I have not tried to find that, but I think that's going to be left. It's so little that I think that'll be left for when I do the freshen up on the restoration of this in 20-30 years from now. This spot in here has been buffed out and it's extremely shiny, just like the hood, but other parts like the seat pan here, that's just regular shiny paint, but I'd like to get it ultra shiny like the center console there. And that, boys and girls, pretty much sums it up. Take it on a ride. It's Thanksgiving Day 2020. Let me take it on a ride, let you show what I got, but that's pretty much the end of this series. Quiet, royal subjects, it's time for Director Chat.
Hi, and welcome back to the Tractor Chat Live Season Finale Spectacular Extravaganza. Now, some of you have asked on here, how do we know you're live? Well, it's very simple. Take a look at your watch. I'm looking at mine. They're exactly the same, so that proves without a shadow of a doubt that we are indeed live. Cut! For those of you who are just tuning in, you've missed an outstanding show. Meghan Markle's here. Meghan, the Duchess of Sussex, showed up to show us about carburation. Now, I know anytime I think about a carburetor, the first name that pops to mind is the Duchess Meghan Markle. Breaking news. breaking news. This just in. Now let's go live to our news correspondent in front of Capitol Hill, Steed Dirkley. Steed, looks like you've grown your hair out and your beard. Well, thank you, Jaster, for noticing. And yes, I've decided during the shut-in to grow back my old hairstyle of business up front and party in the back. And I'm standing here live in front of Capitol Hill where a historic law has just been passed. It's called the Tractor Hope Law. This law forbids any supermodel or hot Hollywood starlet from covering their faces, because those faces, when people see them, they think of tractors. And when they think of tractors, they think of hope. This was unanimously passed. And that was because they know also that viruses do not attack hot Hollywood starlets nor supermodels. So once again, Jaster, a historic day here at Capitol Hill. Well, that's all the time we had today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Same tractor time, same tractor channel. I think I'll record. Well, thank you, Jaster. Yes, I have decided to go back to my, because that is the face that people see when they